Well, Matt Rule with bragging rights in this one, Kyle, over Cliff Kingsbury. If you're keeping tabs of this rivalry, the Cardinals lose to the Panthers 31-21. I don't think he's going to be sending that "I'm sorry" text this time around. The Cardinals, from the beginning, lack of energy, lots of mistakes, couldn't seem to put things together here in this loss in Carolina. I mean, what was his most glaring point to this game for you, Kyle?
I think really on both sides of the ball, the struggles, there was nothing really you could point at that looked impressive. I mean, offensively, the passing game did not get going at all. And then on the defense, they forced one punt heading into the fourth quarter. It was just down after down, the Panthers moving the ball pretty well without Christian McCaffrey. So a lot of things went wrong in this game. I'm sure anybody that watched it saw that. And the Cardinals have a lot of fixing to do. You started 2-0, now you lost two in a row, and you're kind of at a crossroads of the season now.
Yeah, especially after starting the season 2-0. Cardinals get the loss here. All right, lots to cover in this one. How about we dive right into today's highlights? The game started at 10 a.m. Cardinals did not know that, the way that they looked coming out in this one. First quarter, Panthers up 7-0 already. Teddy Bridgewater, looking like Kyler Murray on this, takes it in for the touchdown with a little juke and scramble, making it 14-0. And then the second quarter, Cardinals waking up a bit here. Like you called in pregame, Kyle, Patrick Peterson gets the pick.
Yeah, the one thing that went right defensively was that early interception, and the Cardinals did do a good job of taking advantage of it. Chase Edmonds does a really nice job after the catch to get a first down on 3rd and 7 to set up a touchdown pass from Kyler Murray to Jordan Thomas, and then all of a sudden you're feeling okay about this game. It's 14-7. The Cardinals are settling in a little bit. Nice job by Jordan Thomas, who came late to get onto this team from the practice squad, got elevated, and now scored a touchdown in the NFL for the Cardinals for the first time. So nice job by him, but once again, the Panthers just answered. Easy pitch and catch from Teddy Bridgewater to Reggie Bonifant, 21-7 at the half.
All right, third quarter here. It's 3rd and 2 on the 38. Murray's arm is actually hit here on the throw. Trey Boston doing a great job, heads up play, grabs the ball to then create that fumble there. That was ruled a challenge.
Yeah, they get the ball, and then they score 28-7. Finally, a little bit of hope when Kyler Murray gets untracked. 48-yard run to set the Cardinals up, and then he finds Christian Kirk in the end zone, cutting the deficit to 28-14. You feel like, hey, if the defense can get a quick stop, maybe the Cardinals can get something going and make this a game, but obviously that did not happen.
Yeah, they started to get things going there. Murray took over, but in the fourth, Panthers run the clock. They get the field goal here to make it 31-14. And then it's 2nd and goal. Edmonds in for the touchdown. We'll hear a little bit more about him later on in the post-game show. Making it 31-21, but it's just too late.
Yep.
Too late for the Cardinals to get back into this one. Back-to-back losses. Loss for the Cardinals here against the Panthers.
That drive to get the field goal was a killer because it was a 2-possession game. It took more than 8 minutes off the clock and pushed it to 3 possessions. So that really ended any slight hopes the Cardinals had of rebounding and maybe rallying for a victory.
Yeah, we really saw a lot of that in this game. The Panthers had 5 drives of 66 yards or more, 4 of them being touchdown drives. So that was a big theme in this game and the loss for the Cardinals when we look at the overall stats here for the Cardinals against the Panthers. I mean, so many glaring issues in this one for the Cards.
Yeah, 444 total yards to give up is quite a bit. How much did you miss Budda Baker in this game? Even though you didn't have your top 3 safeties, that was far from the only issue. I thought the pass rush did not get there as much as it needed. The cornerbacks didn't play super well. And then obviously looking at the passing yards for the Cardinals, 133 in the NFL is just not going to cut it.
Time of possession, another big area of focus here, 37 minutes for the Panthers in this one. And then you talked about, obviously, the defense missing some key personnel with Budda Baker being out, but the offense, full strength. Everyone healthy, so you expect to see more of an explosive offense with this Cardinals team.
I know, I thought that was going to happen. You had DeAndre Hopkins and you had Christian Kirk. So the fact that they had all those guys, Kyler Murray was, ready to bounce back, and he just didn't. So the Cardinals are in a tough spot offensively, and they have to figure things out.
Yeah, let's now turn it over to head coach Cliff Kingsbury at the podium.
Okay, it looks like we got everybody in, so we'll turn it over to Coach. Reminder, use your raise hand function and keep your line on mute. We'll start with your questions, starting with Bob McManaman, Craig Fouie, and Colin Harmon.
Cliff, can you give us your general overall thoughts on how this affects the team and what you thought the performance was like?
It wasn't good. We didn't play well enough or coach well enough in any phase, and they did. They played well, and we didn't match their intensity from the start, coaching-wise, playing-wise, and it's a bad performance.
Coach, just 55 plays on offense, 260-some yards. What were the struggles today offensively in terms of getting into rhythm or getting into sync?
Starts, like I said, with coaching. We have to put those guys in better situations to be successful, and when plays are there to be made, we got to make them, and you got to give them credit. They had a good plan, kept the ball away from us, and had some long drives that limited our possessions, limited our plays, but we didn't execute in any phase well enough to win this game.
Cliff, you had said you guys would learn a lot about this team's resolve after the loss last week. What do you attribute to the way you guys came out and started that game on both sides of the ball?
I don't have an answer for that, but it wasn't good enough. Like I mentioned, they had more intensity, more focus to start the game, came out, jumped on us, and I just didn't think we responded like we were able to. Closed it to 28-14 there in the second half, and then weren't able to get any closer until late. So we got to get back to practice, work really hard this week, and try and improve. We're 2-2 after the first quarter. Felt like the last 2 weeks haven't been our standard, and we have to do something about that.
Next three, McClune, Fitzgerald, Santos.
Hey, Cliff, Justin, and Kenyon went down late in the game. Do you been health-wise?
I don't. I don't believe that it was anything major, but we'll see. But I don't have an answer right now.
Cliff, the first two games of the season, the defense was doing so well on third down. Today really struggled. Can you pinpoint exactly what that was?
I can't. I got to give them credit. I thought they had a great plan. I thought Teddy played great, went to the right place with the ball. They protected well. We had a hard time getting pressure, and those receivers are really talented. So I got to give them credit, but we have to be better. I have to get off the field on those third and long situations.
What do you guys feel like you did well today? Are there any positive takeaways?
I don't believe so. I just don't think it was our standard. Last 2 weeks we haven't answered the bell, and we had a chance to kind of respond to adversity and get it going. We just haven't, and that starts with me and our coaching staff, and we have to find a way to get that right in a hurry.
Next three, Summers, Winefist, King, please.
Cliff, as you look at the last 2 weeks, how do you get more out of the passing game? What's gone wrong, do you think?
Yeah, I think a number of things. I think we have to have a better plan, starting with me, and then we just got to execute when throws are there to be hit, whether it's running the proper depth or taking the proper footwork on your drop. We just all have to be on the same page and take what we're working on in the practice field to the game. And we haven't hit that rhythm yet, haven't been in sync yet like you'd like to in the passing game.
Cliff, Hopkins until 55 seconds left in the first quarter. Is that on the play call, the play design, Kyler, what the Panthers were doing? And how crucial is he to getting this off early?
You were breaking up. I couldn't hear the first part of that question.
5 in the first quarter. Was that on the play design? Was that on?
No. I think you're saying haven't got Hopkins' ball. I couldn't really hear you, but yeah, got to find a way to get him involved earlier. Like I said, came out, didn't have a sense of urgency, play calling or executing it, and he's obviously a spark plug, one of the best players in the league, and we got to get him involved and try to get us going.
Cliff, how much do you feel like the defense missed Budda Baker?
Obviously, he's one of the best safeties in the league and brings a lot of intensity and playmaking to that side of the ball, but it's no excuse. We knew what we had going in, and we had to make plays, and we weren't able to make plays and get them off the field on third down.
Next up, McManaman, Harmon, Fitzgerald.
Cliff, after you guys cut it to 28-14, Carolina went on a massively long drive that seemed to kind of, tilt this game completely into their favor. How devastating was that 15-play drive against you guys?
Yeah, that's tough. You got to give them credit. They did what they had to do. We felt like we had a little momentum going in there, scored, make it 28-14. Into the third quarter, plenty of time left, and then they marched it right back down and converted a bunch of third downs and made some nice plays to make it a 3-score ball game there into the fourth quarter. So it was definitely, a tough drive for us and a really well-executed drive for them.
Cliff, as banged up as you guys are on defense right now, why isn't Isaiah getting more of a look at this point?
Yeah, we're still trying to work him in. We want to put him in positions to be successful, to understand our scheme, and it's a work in progress still. No off season, no preseason. We knew it would take some time. We're a month in now, and I think he is progressing, but we're going to continue to try and find ways to get him in where he can have success.
Cliff, I know you talked after last game about trying to involve more of the receivers on offense. What did you try to do differently today, and why did it maybe not translate?
I think more than anything, just the lack of plays. We're normally around 70 and only had 55 and never got in a rhythm. Once again, I got to do a good job of calling enough plays to get the ball spread around, but it just didn't work out that way.
Coach, thank you very much. We will be right back with Jordan Hicks.
Yeah, as Kingsbury touched on, Kyle, third down defense for the Cardinals. Coming into today's game, they were top of the NFL, the number 1 in the league. What was going wrong here today?
It just seemed like overall not having a pass rush consistently is hard for not being able to get after the quarterback. I mean, when you're not doing that in the NFL, it's hard to succeed. And with that being said, even if you're not getting there, you want the secondary to hold up better, and both of those tend to work together, and neither of them were really working. So I think that's something the Cardinals have to get locked down moving forward. I know the defense had issues today, but I still am more worried about the offense, like we talked about when you had everybody offensively. You had DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk play. That to me is kind of the alarm bell, is can this passing offense really get going? Because if you can't pass the ball in the NFL, it feels like you're not going to have sustained success. And I think that more than anything to me stood out.
Well, for the Panthers offensively, Teddy Bridgewater made it look too easy out there, looking at the quarterback comparison between him and Kyler Murray. Yeah.
Yeah, 26 of 37 for 276 yards. And, it was a good performance by Teddy Bridgewater, and it's not like you were facing Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is a solid NFL quarterback, but he's not a star, and they kind of made him look like a star in this game. And it's just so glaring that Kyler Murray threw the ball 31 times and only had 133 pass yards. He did have the 3 touchdowns, but they were all short, and the one real explosive play of the game came with his legs on that 48-yard scramble. Yeah,
Bridgewater looked too comfortable out there. You talk about the pass rush lacking here for the Cardinals defense, and this is without Christian McCaffrey. So, they're probably feeling pretty good about their offense going forward here.
Yeah, I think the Panthers have to be feeling good about what they're doing, and all of a sudden the Cardinals, after starting so well, even losing to the Lions, it was because they threw 3 interceptions in the game. The Lions didn't outplay the Cardinals by any means. In this game, the Panthers outplayed the Cardinals from the first quarter until the fourth. I mean, the game was never really in doubt, and it's a loss where they're going to have to get together and figure a lot of things out.
Yeah, and we were talking about this Cardinals offense, the way that they lacked those explosive plays. A lot of horizontal passes, Kyle. A lot of those screen passes just were not working for this Cardinals team.
Yeah, and the Panthers certainly seemed ready for it, and it'll be interesting to see if Cliff Kingsbury changes anything moving forward, if he feels like teams have a certain bead on those horizontal passes and the screen passes. Some of them are designed as extensions of the run, so if they get 4 or 5 yards, they don't mind that. But overall, they didn't get enough chunk plays on offense, certainly.
Well, let's hear from the quarterback of this defense, Jordan Hicks.
Defense was missing some key players today, but what do you think was the biggest issue for the defense as a whole today?
Simply execution. Defense, it doesn't matter what defense is called. I'm a firm believer that if you play your leverage and you execute and you just do your job, simple as that, the defense will be successful, but you'll work, or at least compete. There were guys wide open. We had some, they ran the ball. They were able to keep us on our heels. So, at the end of the day, it's all execution. It's basics, and give them credit. They played well.
Jordan, it seems like today you guys struggled to tackle at times. Just what would you chalk that up to?
I don't know. I didn't really feel that necessarily. I know there were a few missed tackles, but didn't necessarily feel like a ton. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just think that's putting your hat on the ball and being physical at the point of attack.
Jordan, what's the sense of urgency right now after these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, here's the thing. At the end of the day, we've lost 2 in a row. We're 2-2 in the first quarter of the season, and we're still in a situation where we control our destiny. It's still super early. The message has to be: go back into the drawing board, learn from our mistakes, focus on the details, and come out and execute. Simple as that. This game isn't difficult. As long as you do your job, don't try to do anything more, things usually work out. And, we've got good enough talent. We have good enough guys, good enough leadership on this team. We just got to go execute. We've got to be able to play well and hold each other accountable doing it.
Next up, Craig, Nick, Catherine.
Hey, Jordan, you mentioned scheme versus, fundamentals. How much of this today was scheme, or how much were guys just freelancing out there on defense?
Oh, we have to execute. Again, it's execution of the call. Every offensive call is meant to score, and every defensive call is meant to, stop them from doing it. And, as long as we compete and we execute and we hold our leverage and we're physical at the point of attack and we're competing, we're fine. We just didn't do that well enough today.
Now let's head up to the booth with the guys who had today's call. Dave Pasch, Ron Wolfley. Guys, what I kept hearing from Hicks: do your job. It was very disappointing just to see this defense make tons of mistakes, missed tackles. What was the most glaring, Dave, for you in this one?
Boy, I think defensively, Lisa, the most glaring thing was the missed tackles. It just looked like the Cardinals weren't ready, weren't focused, weren't breaking down and making the play. They weren't as physical as Carolina. They were getting pushed off the ball, but just way too many missed tackles. We saw the missed assignment on the touchdown to Bonifon, the lob pass by Bridgewater. But it was pretty clear early on that the Cardinals defensively just didn't look ready to go.
Yeah, and Wolf, on the other side, it felt like a lot of people thought Kyler Murray was going to bounce back from that game against the Lions and put up a nice passing day. Obviously did not happen. What do you think the issues were there for the Cardinals pass offense?
Boy, I wish I knew, Kyle. There's going to be an awful lot of people once again that are going to look at this tape and they're going to study it. I think the Carolina Panthers, for the most part, they came in here, they rushed 4. They didn't blitz Kyler Murray. They didn't go after him. I think that strategy, basically, they played a little bit more zone than I expected them to play, and I think that worked as well. So I think we're going to continue to see this mush rush approach, if you will, where you're only going to rush 4 and may not even be coming all out after Kyler Murray, right? But you don't want to create those seams. So I think this is the way that we're going to see defenses defend Kyler Murray going forward, because that's 2 games in a row right now. We're rushing 4 or rushing 3, dropping 7, dropping 8, playing a little bit more zone. Maybe that's what Kyler Murray is probably going to see in the future right here. But overall, I was just disappointed with the effort in the start.
Guys, a quarter of this season is now complete, and I feel like there's a little bit of an identity crisis here for the Cardinals, starting 2-0 and now falling 2. Who are the Arizona Cardinals right now?
That is a great question, and we were talking about the same thing. Through the first 2 weeks, we thought, man, this Cardinal team looks like it could be not only a playoff contender, but maybe better than that. And then you watch them lose 2 weeks in a row to arguably inferior talent, and it makes you scratch your head. I think especially today. We talked a lot about the defense, but where is the explosion on offense that we thought we'd see out of this team? I thought the defense played better than expected the first 2 weeks. Maybe what we've seen the last 2 weeks is a little bit more on par with last year. Offensively, I just thought there'd be this big jump with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. His catches are there, his numbers are there, but where is the overall explosion for this Cardinal offense? It just, that to me has been very surprising through 4 games.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, the offense was healthy, so not many excuses from those guys. Defensively, without Budda Baker, how big of an issue is that, Wolf? Is that one guy make that much of a difference?
Yeah, well, first of all, Budda Baker, a Pro Bowl safety, is going to make a big difference. Jalen Thompson, not having him, I think, a young developing guy that was really playing well, that's going to make a big difference. But overall, you can't point to the safety problem today, Kyle, and say that was the issue. It was poor tackling and mental errors out there on the field. It wasn't just the safeties. As a matter of fact, I would say it was the guys that were on the field, not the missing Budda Baker, not the missing Jalen Thompson, the guys on the field that were the problem. I'm talking about guys who are good football players that missed tackles. It wasn't only the safeties that weren't there. It was also a lot of the guys that have allowed the Arizona Cardinals to have the #1 third down defense in the National Football League. And when you look at third down defense today, wow, that was the eye-opener.
Yeah, the Cardinals face the Jets coming up here, and then the Cowboys. How do they just go forward here, clean some things up? I mentioned just starting over, just hitting that restart button for them.
Well, you don't have much choice, really. I mean, you have to say right now we're not a very good team. 2 weeks ago we're not a very good team right now. I'm guessing that's how Cliff is going to look at this, and I'm sure the players are too. And so you're playing on the road. Yeah, there's not going to be a big crowd next week, but maybe the fact that there isn't a big crowd is hurting the Cardinals, because I think teams in the NFL, they feed so much on being on the road and us against the world mentality, and you don't have that in the NFL in 2020. I think it's going to hurt some teams more than others. Maybe the Cardinals are one of those teams. I mean, they played well in San Francisco. The thing today was interesting was, against San Francisco, you had that turnover. It changed momentum. Today you had the turnover. They got the touchdown, but it didn't change momentum. So you used the term identity crisis, Lisa. I think they have to view themselves kind of in that light going into the Jet game, or they might be 2-3.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Kyle, next week, another 10 a.m. start time. Were you surprised at all the way that they came out, lack of energy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a bad start, but then you look at the continuation of the game, and it was a bad everything after that, too. I do think there is something to playing 10 a.m. on the road. I mean, the body clock thing is a real thing. You can look at the science of it. It happens. It's harder to perform at 10 a.m. because your body clock isn't used to it. But that being said, once you got to the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, they never woke up from that. So not much of an excuse in this one.
Well, someone that does bring the energy every week, running back Chase Edmonds. We can crown him as our SRP Power Performer, brought to you by SRP. He really had that third down catch there that was able to then lead to a scoring drive, and then, of course, that touchdown, just to give them a little juice, maybe momentum heading into next week.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get a bunch of touches in this game, but like you said, 2 of the bigger plays on offense. Clearly, there was no huge standout performer for either side of the ball in this game, but Chase Edmonds did a nice job, and with Kenyon Drake getting hurt late, he took a big hit and went off the field to the locker room. Cliff Kingsbury said it seems like a minor issue, but if he's banged up at all, maybe Chase Edmonds has a bigger role for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, we have to find some bright spots to carry over into next week. One of them was Kyler Murray's 48-yard run. That was the longest by a quarterback since 1958.
Yeah, that was impressive, and that's why you feel like the ceiling for this offense is high, because Kyler Murray can do that stuff with his legs. They have to get the passing game going, though. They have to be efficient throwing the ball, and like Wolf and Pash were saying, when you've got DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk, you have options, but for whatever reason, it's not coming together quite yet.
All right, let's head into our Toro ground stats for the day, looking at how the Cardinals fared on the ground against the Panthers. Still waiting for Drake to really get going here, Kyle.
Yeah, that's the thing. The ground stats look fine, but that's so boosted by Kyler Murray's 48-yard run, and his yards per carry were off the charts again. But Kenyon Drake, I believe, had 12 carries for 28 yards. He has not gotten close to the production he had last season when he was so phenomenal for those 8 games. So clearly, if the Cardinals aren't going to run the ball very well, then you need to pass better. And right now, they're not doing either to their capabilities.
And he actually went down in the fourth quarter. We're going to see what happens there going forward for him. But yeah, a lot of the ground stats boosted by Murray. We'd like to see more production. All right, let's take a look here at some scores from around the league. Obviously, the Cardinals next week play the Jets. Let's see what they did here today. Actually,
they
played
lost on Thursday.
Yeah, that is right.
I mean, they're
Thursday Night Football.
They did not look good. I mean, that game was close, but they've had a really rough start to the season. And Dave Pasch even bringing up the idea of possibly losing that game. That's hard to fathom after what the Cardinals did to start, but they need to go on the road and get back to their winning ways in a very winnable game.
And then they'll play the Cowboys. They lost 49-38. Ooh.
That was a wild one, it sounded like. And the Seahawks remained undefeated by beating the Dolphins 31-23. A close game, but they pulled it out. So, as we've talked about, I mean, this NFC West keeps getting harder, and the Cardinals at 2-2 very well could be in last place alone, even though they're still 500 on the year.
Yeah, and these are games like against a Panthers team who are trying to figure things out. They need to win in order to have a chance here in the NFC West. I mean, like you said, it's just so difficult.
Yeah, the margin for error is so thin now, and I mean, going on the road against the Jets, that's clearly a winnable game. So if the Cardinals can get it turned around, get to 3-2, they're clearly still in the mix, but they just have to play better football than we saw today.
All right, everyone, that wraps up our post-game show. We'll see you next Sunday when the Cardinals travel to face the Jets. Join us on YouTube and Facebook, and make sure you subscribe. We will see you next week.